Welcome. I was really taken by our discussion with Ms. Trueheart about what was going on. Just give us a brief little history about what you've tried to do, how long you've been working on trying to get that lot cleared up of this open air drug market. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, just to give you a little background of how everything started, I was a medical student. I withdrew maybe about 10 months ago because my father asked me to help him with the gas station. At that moment, they were going through some financial crisis, so he really needed my help because due to his English not being so well and everything. So I decided to do it for my father. Why not? The first thing that I was told to do as my job as a manager and everything was to move the boys that stand there. Do not let them stand there. And that they give the employees and the customers such a hard time. So that was my very first step to do. Every time I would tell them to move, they would, be nasty and say bad words and, make me cry. It was many times I would cry during the day. And I'm like, why am I letting these kids make me cry? But, they would not move. Even after me calling the police many times.
Would the police come?
Sometimes, and when I would leave, then I don't know, to be honest. And sometimes I would just keep calling the police and nobody would answer, and I'm like, wait, because a few of my employees told me this earlier, that when you call the police, they don't pick up the phone, and I laughed at them, and I'm like, are you serious? That's not an accurate statement.
That was 911?
911, yes.
So they have caller ID?
I'm not sure.
How would they know it was you? Why wouldn't they answer if it was an emergency call? You're actually saying here on Patrick Henderson's Meet the People that you have called 911 and they didn't answer the phone.
Sometimes when you would call 911, I would be put on hold. So I didn't speak to anybody. I would have to hang up and have to call them back again.
Really?
Yes. So maybe, they're busy or whatsoever, but, I don't know.
And that's not new, Patrick. We've had other reports that 911, the whole 911 and the 311 system are broken here in the city. So
really?
Yeah, there's lots of testimony about 911 not being responsive.
What? I find that incredulous. I find that unbelievable. How?
Ask our councilman. He probably has some insight.
Leon, do you have some insight on that? I never heard that before.
I have to agree with Ms. Trueheart that there's plenty of testimony supporting the fact that when individuals call 911 expecting service, they don't get the level of service that you would anticipate someone calling for a critical call. To the point now where people are having to be, use strategy when calling 911. They have to call they have to call and refer to certain issues that might not be relevant just to get the attention that they, it is not uncommon for an individual to call 911 and always reference a gun, in their call because they know the buzzwords that, you have to use in order to get services. It is a shame. And, I do understand the limitations that our police department is under, with the shortage and number of officers. But that should never impact, the 911 service and individuals calling and being able to get, their issues addressed and get somebody to respond in, immediate. I mean, these are life and death situations.
Yes, sir.
311 may be different, but if you're calling 911, you are calling with the expectation that someone will respond to this issue and immediately.
Wow. Leo Burrows.
I have a general question any of you might answer. Am I not correct that this is in the Northwestern Police District?
Yes.
And what has been the response of the commander of the Northwestern Police District to these complaints? Because that falls under the lady who's in charge, so to speak.
Tanya, what's her name?
Lewis.
Tanya Lewis.
Yes. What is she saying as commander of that district to the complaints that are manifold, many? Numerous.
The complaints about poor service is not just the Northwestern District. Okay. So, but in response to this issue on Garrison Boulevard, the commander has been out on medical leave since around the time of the shooting and the homicide at the gas station. And so they've put an acting commander in place, but I believe Commander Lewis will be back as of today, at full duty. But the acting district commander put the presence of a police vehicle on the BP lot as his top priority. So there has been, for 30 days, a presence on that parking lot 24/7.
After someone was killed.
That was a great response from him. He was coming in acting, right, for 30 days. So I believe that's going to go away possibly soon.
Well, that's true, isn't it? You have 2 weeks before they're no longer there, and the police have said to you, you have to do something about this?
Yes, we've had a meeting with the police on July 25th for the padlock hearing. And they had told us that we have 2 weeks to come up with a plan of what we can do differently. Well, they gave us some options, but, there's some consequences with those, if you let me.
Yes.
One of the captains advised me to shut down my station from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., which is not a problem. I can definitely do that. But who is going to be responsible for the destruction of the property? Because I'm not, If I'm shutting down my station from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., somebody needs to tell me who's going to pay for all the damages. Because
there will be damages.
There are damages even while we are there. So just imagine when we're not there, that whole area is going to be, dark because the lights will go off. And I think that will prone these kids more to come and do, whatever they do, selling of drugs and all that. And I feel like that the crime will increase because who's watching.
Right, and no lighting, as you say, because you guys really light up that whole corner. We light up
that whole corner. And then also if the police does come, God forbid, something happens, my camera is not going to be able to capture everything at nighttime when it's dark, with no light. So that's also going to be another issue. So that was one of the things,
Well, we're having a little traffic jam here. Please excuse the noise. Kenwell.
Yes.
When I met you, I was sort of taken by you and your family, your love for your father, and you're the daughter coming in to take care of the family. You have brothers?
Yes, I have. It's 6 of us.
6 of you?
Yeah. My older brother used to work there for a long time, but it was just getting so bad that he's gotten threatened like 3 to 4 times while he was walking to his car to go home. And, and the kind of mother I have, she's like, he's very naive and all that. So she's like, she didn't want him to work there. So when my father told me about the situation, and I said, okay, I'll do it. So I left medical school for all the people that asked me why I left, why did I withdraw, which is the reason I withdrew, because I wanted to help my father. He spent 30 years trying to build this business for us, for his family, and I'm not going to let anybody shut it down, only because I'm not involved in anything illegal. I'm not involved in those crimes. I don't influence anybody to do those crimes. Yes, it's my property. I understand that. And I am telling them to move. I call the police. I do everything I can. I even got a panic button installed inside, which I paid money for, of course, so that the employees can just press the button and the police will come right away, so that they don't see them calling the police, because that also they start all this disruption. And another thing.
Go ahead.
Just totally blanked me out.
No, I can imagine.
Can I ask a question? What about the financial impact? Because I know that as a business operator myself in the past, having to deal with the high cost of insurance, the high cost of liability, we see that right after the Freddie Gray uprising in Baltimore City, that a lot of businesses in Baltimore City had their insurances raised up. I mean, these are challenges that you have to deal with as a business trying to operate within this environment, correct?
Right, correct. Yeah, I mean, financial situation, has been an issue for the past maybe 5 to 6 years. We were going through something with one of the third-party inspection companies that were doing testings for us for the Maryland Department of Environment, and I mean they were just ripping us off. I mean it's disgusting. They were really ripping us off, which is why we were actually going into bankrupt, and which is also another reason my father and my uncle asked me to join the business so that I can research and see who has better prices out there for such and such, and which is one of the reasons, which was pretty much my main reason for the financial situation.
Can I say something back? Can I, we have Moss number 6 that's right there, am I correct? Who has
Carlos
that,
Muhammad.
with Big Brother Carlos Muhammad, has there been any outreach to the Moss to try to get the brothers right there to step up? And
They were participants in the police department meeting on July 25th. I believe they were the only community reps at that meeting with the attorneys for the police and the Northwest District commanders, where they were informing the business owner that they were processing all the legal documents to padlock them, but if they did something like a plan in the next 2 weeks, this week is the drop dead week, supposedly, that they would consider the plan, but their intent was to padlock the business.
Of course. Now, see, from my understanding, there's a project that's going around in that area called the Links Project. I was actually a part of the board, so I stepped away because of a couple of folks that were on it. But the thing is that the city wants that area. They want that area, and they want it clear. So, you know what I mean? This is a plan, and they know how to deal with these guys that are standing out there. They know that from one side of this country to the other. You know what I mean? But when it's an area that they want, or they have, made comments about what they wanted to do with this area, then they'll let it fall apart until, the resources are gone and everybody has run for their lives, and you know what I mean? And then come in with their own agenda. Now, and this is just from my, observation in comparison to what we have dealt with in the past. You know what I mean? When we talk about gentrification, when we talk about how, the rec centers got shut down, that was a plan. When it came to the rec centers like up at Roland Park, they didn't get shut down. They just moved the kids from one side of the building to the other.
Till they repaired.
Till they made the repairs. Now, you know what I mean? But when it came to our schools, our rec centers, they got shut down. So, I think it's just a part of that whole gentrification process.
Gentrification.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe so.
Big Brother Leon, maybe I'm just coming from the conspiracy theory, because I see you looking like, bro, I don't think that's what it is. But historically, you know what I mean? When they wanted us to go, what did they do? And what are we seeing right now? And tell me, how is that different? What they're doing is any different from what has been done to us in the past?
Right. So this is Councilman Pinkett, and so let me first say that you're right in the context that we have to be vigilant about our community and where resources are coming from, what investment looks like in our community, so that when investment does come, it does not come in a manner that displaces legacy residents, people who have gone through the tough times. They should be there to benefit from the improvements. So, and that's all of our responsibility. I have a little bit of insight related to Links and some of what's happening in the Northwest corridor. Although I don't represent that district, I worked a lot of hours in that district, both at BDC and then the mayor's office. So I worked on the ShopRite that came there and then all of that. Actually, the Links effort was initiated by the community because anybody who knows that area recognizes that there's no difference between Howard Park and Mount Washington. I mean, the same beautiful homes, next to a golf course. That community deserves a level of investment that it hasn't seen to the level that we all know it should have. And so the Links effort was an opportunity for the community to come together and make a determination about what Garrison would look like.
And Liberty.
And Liberty as well. And so I think that, with the change in administrations, we probably lost some momentum as it relates to Links. But I think that, the Northwest community and communities throughout the city, we have to do a better job of taking ownership of the destiny of our communities and being involved and not let others dictate, where we're going. If I might take a step back, I'm glad that we have the owner of the gas station here. It is encouraging because we know that there are some businesses that, let's just be honest, collude with the negative influences in our community. And so we got to deal with them as well. But when you have a merchant, a business owner who is, putting their life on the line, who's really wanting to work with the police, those are the individuals we've got to find the resources for. Those are the individuals we've got to work with. Because if they abandon the community, what resources will we have? And there should be a different response to individuals who are investing in the community, are investing in the security of the community, and then providing the evidence and testimony to support the police, investigations. Those aren't the individuals that we should be pushing to the side, and trying to
threatening to padlock. I absolutely agree with you, Leo.
I'm sure I will be roundly criticized for the following suggestion, but there ought to be a way to track those individuals in our community who are problem individuals who are loitering illegally and for successive times. In other words, if you've been approached and asked to leave the premises and you're not purchasing gas or anything else, then there should be some manner in which a citation can be given, a warning citation initially. But then we have to follow up at some point if you as an individual are a continuing problem in order to stop that. And I'm not talking about locking up people. I'm going to hear a lot of that. You're just trying to lock up everybody. That's not so. But I'm saying we've got to identify people who are really problems, and there are some incorrigible individuals who are incorrigible. I mean, they just are. You have to do something with them. And I'm suggesting some manner in which it can be citation, a warning citation now. But then you've got to be able to identify if that individual is a repeat offender over and over again. You got to do something. Just fine them or something. I don't know what else you do. Does she have to hire? Does the business person, do they have to hire their own security?
Let's ask her that question. What did they say to you about that?
Well, them as well
the police
as
department.
The people from the mosque, they did say that we need to have security. We need to hire security. Before I even went to the padlock meeting, and while I was doing my research for the other padlock businesses, one of the things I read was when they opened up with security. So I started doing my research. I started doing everything. I spoke to a few security people, and the prices are incredibly amazing. I can't afford that. I mean, let's just be straight up.
You're talking about $30 an hour.
$30 an hour for a couple hours a day, minimum of 8, for a few days of the week. And my neighbors next door said I need 24-hour security to protect the people, to protect the brothers and sisters, to protect the kids, to protect everyone. Sure, I want to protect everyone. How much are you going to contribute out of your pocket to help me do that? I can't do that on my own. I pay taxes. We all pay taxes. I don't need security in a gas station. There's, sure, there might be profit and margin for other stations, but not at mine's. Why? Because I just came out of a financial situation. I can't afford that. Why is it that I have to hire security? For what? It just doesn't make any sense.
When we're paying taxes.
When I'm paying taxes, but at the same time, it should be a give and take. I'm helping the police, and I'm not, I'm helping the police,
But they're not helping us. That's what it all boils down to.
They're not helping us, but there's a few of the officers that I truly respect and that have helped me. One of the incidents I had when I installed my
Hold on before you say that. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore.
Patrick, can I go back
Hold on for a minute, Kim.
WOLB Baltimore, a Radio 1 station where information is power.
Yes, it is power, but it's nothing if you do nothing with the information. Kim.
I want to go back to Leo's point. And Leo, there currently is a no trespass restraining order that you can get to, number one, as long as you've posted the signs that say no trespassing issue these orders to these individuals and say, you're now put on notice. You cannot be on my property any longer. And the next time you're on my property, it's a violation. And it's a misdemeanor violation the first time, right? The second time is a felony, Class B, I think it is. And so that's something that we're pursuing. Now that the owner has video proof,
yes,
we've got pictures.
So you've got
right.
documentation.
Before she couldn't identify these kids, but now she can identify. And I appreciate the fact that she's not calling them thugs and hoodlums.
Right.
I agree.
These are kids, and she now has documents that we can use, and the community can join in those no trespassing orders. We can say this behavior is unacceptable, and working with the business owner, we're willing to support that.
And the parents are automatically part of this equation. Am I correct, Mr. Pinkett?
Good
In
luck
other
with
words,
that one.
do you get the parents involved at this no trespassing thing? Are parents notified about this? As opposed to, nobody wants to just be locking people up. But I'm saying, what do you do about what do you do about people who are out of control? When and if they're out of control, we still have to have a measure. I shouldn't have to make a citizen's arrest and knock somebody down when we've got police officers who have to intercede.
I mean, as a business operator, I shouldn't have to hire security, pay high insurance, and and have to be responsible for the security of everything as opposed to trying to operate my business. How do I operate my business on a daily basis if I'm concentrating on all these other issues that are supposed to be taken care of by the police?
My question, though, is what is the difference between Garrison and Liberty Heights, Doefield, and Gwen Oak? The police sit there.
At Gwen Oak.
At Gwen Oak, they sit there.
Because somebody was killed there. Somebody was killed at Garrison.
So why, and that's why I'm asking, so why should we wait? Why should they wait till someone is killed? You know what I mean? I mean, and when we sit in these meetings with, with the money with races and slots up in Northern Parkway,
the
you know what I mean?
PCDA,
The Jewish community told the police they didn't want them riding through their neighborhood playing this with the siren on. And guess what? They stop playing the siren when they ride through their community. You know what I'm saying? All we asking is for the same consideration. You know what I mean? The 7-Eleven that's up there on Northern Parkway, you know what I mean? The next block over is Rogers Avenue. There's hella drugs all in that community. But the police stay there at that 7-Eleven, you know what I mean, on a constant to keep those guys from coming back and forth to the front of that store. What is the difference? You see what I'm saying?
Color.
So we're not asking, we're not asking nothing far-fetched.
No.
We're not saying, you know what I mean, pour all this money here that should not be already here.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
For the same protection, the same service.
That's it.
That
That's
every
all.
other neighborhood is getting. Again, I deal with it all the time in the Irvington business corridor. We have business operators that try to regulate their corridor. They're under siege. They get assaulted when they try to regulate and try to control their business. When they call the police after they've been assaulted, or they're trying to, control what's going on, the loitering, and they call the police, half the time they get no response. This is not how we operate business. And again, these businesses, and that's why I'm glad Patrick brought you on today, because again, these businesses that are in our neighborhood, not all of them are piranhas in our neighborhood. Not all of them are not responsible in our neighborhood. There are very hardworking men and women, families. I have folks that have been in the business corridor 40 years, operating their business responsibly for 40 years, and they're now dealing with these challenges every day.
And our issue, and the issues in our community, the answer to those issues are not a jail cell, family.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is what we all have to recognize, and we done got in the habit of thinking that the police are our what?
Saviors.
The savior.
No, they think that they are our family counselors. You see what I'm saying? These folks call. I'm telling you this because numerous times, just the past month, brother, I've heard of these different scenarios where folks call the police because of a domestic dispute. Why are you calling the police when you're here arguing with your girlfriend? You know what I'm saying? Why do you call the police because of somebody sitting in front of your house playing their music loud? Why can't you get out and say something to them?
They're scared,
Why can't the brothers get out and say? But the thing is, Pat, that fear creates what?
doing nothing.
Hopelessness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It creates hopelessness.
Yeah.
When we sit in fear, then we do not open our mouths. Then we will not step up. It was the brothers and sisters came up to us, well, if we come outside and say something, we're in danger of being hurt. You see the case that happened to this family. You see the case that happened to this family. Statistically, these things are spread out over a year or two. You know what I'm saying? Where this case happened where this girl or this family was hurt by violence because of them recalling the police over a year ago. The same scenario happened. Then 2 years prior to that, the same scenario happened.
The whole family was burned up, the Barnes family.
Well, let me share
but
this.
because of that, we are not supposed to step out and try to make a change.
It's the fear
Right.
of losing your life.
Well, let me share this. Last week, Conwell and I walked to every business on Garrison Boulevard, right? Now, she expressed to me when we first started walking, Miss Kim, I'm not feeling this, right? I don't feel very safe. And I said, Conwell, first of all, God is with us, right?
Absolutely.
And we should have no fear at this point because we are doing the right thing. And I felt, and I don't know what she was thinking, but I know what I was thinking. I want them to see us together.
Yes.
I need them to see
Yes.
us together.
Yes.
And to know that she is not an invader in our neighborhood, right? She is a business owner who has invested her money in our neighborhood, and the minute that she leaves, all the rest of the businesses are going to leave.
Right.
Absolutely.
And how stupid would that be?
Right.
You also have to identify whether these are school-age youth vis-a-vis folks who we could possibly get in an apprenticeship job program. I'm trying to look at ways.
Leo, I know you are, but man, we tried. Those same kids that are over there, I walked over there one day, and
Are they?
They looked at my shoes.
It's all.
And I had on some Louis Vuitton shoes, and they said, "Oh man, them shoes hard, man. Where you get them shoes from?" I said, "Oh no. Look at your shoes, $250 Nike Jordans on." I said, "You guys are the one that's got the shoes on." I say, "Baltimore is famous. You might not have a pot to piss in, and excuse my language, but you all realize that you got to have good shoes on your feet." So I'm no different than you. I learned when I came here to Baltimore, if I ain't got nothing else on, I got to have on a decent pair of shoes.
Patrick,
but hold up, let me finish what I'm saying to you. At the same time, it was a chance for me. It was a teachable moment. I said to them, I said, "How many of you guys got your high school diplomas? How many of you want to get a GED?" "Oh man, I'm good. But if I catch one walking by himself and I said, you interested in getting a GED? Yeah, what I need to do. There is this collective, this pack mentality. You're not going to get them when they're all together. But if you can find a way to befriend them and talk to them when you see them all by themselves, say, "Hey man, I can get you this GED." Kim will tell you I have been talking to her about this. And so we don't just go and try to just go and just assault them, lock them up. No, we must find a way
we try
to relate.
Talk to them often.
Yes.
And, we're not going to stop. This is about us protecting us. Right?
Yes.
And so we can be victims here, or we can be the kings and queens that we are. And as far as I'm concerned, we have an obligation to get involved. This meeting took place on July 25th, and right after the meeting, one of the brothers from the mosque calls me and says, "Miss Truhart, did you know about the meeting?" And I said, "What meeting?" I had no idea what he was talking about. But he was told, I assume by Carlos Muhammad, to let me know after the fact that there was this big meeting. And that's when I immediately decided that I needed to know this young lady. I needed to, at that point, not let her go in there with somebody who's not representing us and our views, right? She needed us in a big way. And so since then, she and I have been meeting almost every other day, right? We talk on the phone all the time. We're developing strategies. One of the things that we haven't talked about here is there's this big corporation called Carroll Fuel.
Hold on, Miss Kim, before you get to that, I want to say something. So I feel that it's very important for the community, for everybody that's listening, for what I have done as a business owner, for my business, and for the neighborhood. I didn't know Miss Kim until, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago, only after the meeting. So, and I think that's why a lot of the community members and a lot of the people were agreed on padlocking the business because they had not known what I have been doing.
Right.
And so anyways, as I started calling the police on a regular daily basis, my father had police on speed dial, 911 all the time. And even while I was working at my other job, I would get calls constantly from the station, call the police, these boys are standing. I'm watching my cameras and such and such. So, one of the issues that I had encountered was these kids kept moving the camera that was by the register. They kept breaking it. They kept moving it because it shows their faces clearly. So I thought to myself, all right, what can I do? Because that's blocking my view from, looking at the entire station, front and back and everything. So I thought about getting extra cameras. I got cameras that were out of their reach, and I got extra glue put in so that they can't break them, destruct my property more than they already have done. So the same night that I had installed those cameras, that same night, one of the sergeants was on duty, and he was making his rounds, and maybe 7 to 8 of these boys decided to go over there and take pictures, and with the peace sign up and everything, and they jumped on his car. And the sergeant came in very next day at the station while I was doing my work inside. He came in and he asked for surveillance of the incident, and I had no clue about it because I was just watching my cameras. I didn't get to that part yet. So I fast forwarded everything, and a bunch of these boys were jumping on his car, taking pictures, and officer was making rounds. Maybe a few hours earlier, they threw a plastic cup of water at him, which was very disrespectful. So at that time, I thought to myself, this is getting out of control. These kids have no fear of whatsoever. They have no fear of anything. So I thought to myself, I have to give police access to my camera. And that same day, I installed the app. I told the sergeant, this is how you get online to view the previous recording on the desktop. This is a password for it. And I gave him access to my cameras because I have nothing to fear. I have nothing to hide. So why wouldn't I? I want to help the police. It's not me helping the police get these kids arrested. No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't want them in my property. I don't want them in the entire neighborhood because there's a kids school right there across the street. Babies right there. And it's just not healthy. So I gave officer access to my cameras. I gave other officers access to my cameras because I said the more the better. Now I don't know which one is going to utilize that. But you
gave it to them. You did your part.
I gave it to them. I did my part. After that, I showed. I wrote a 5-page letter to the commissioner stating everything that I have done from the start to the end. I included all the officers' name that I spoke to because these kids were, they were selling drugs. The only thing I could identify was, marijuana. As I told Mr. Patrick earlier, you can ask me about makeup, I got you. But drugs, I don't know. I don't know anything about that,
It was more than marijuana, I can tell you
right.
that.
There was probably more, but like I told you. So I was texting officers off and on, hey, there's a lot of drug dealing going on, these people are disturbing my employees, my customers, can you drive by? And what should I do? They told me to contact the district drug unit. I contacted the district drug unit. I was always put on hold, never spoke to anybody. And I would call multiple times a day. Then I got really fed up and tired, and I ended up calling 911, and I said, hey, I just need to speak to somebody from the drug unit because they need to know what's going on. This is getting out of control. These people are selling drugs like, every second that they, So didn't speak to anybody. They said they don't have a specific timing. You just have to wait for them to answer your call. And I'm like, I can't sit here and wait and call them every day, all day long. So I searched up the marijuana eradication unit number, and I found one of the sergeant's number, and I left him 2 voicemails, 2 different days. Still from that day till now, still haven't heard a response. So I have been doing my job as a citizen, as a business owner, and as a neighborhood, part of the neighborhood. I have been doing my job. I have a bunch of pictures and text messages of everything I have done. But what have they done with me? I am only
Sweetheart, welcome to the club.
I am.
Okay, I'm sorry to
Yeah,
say
but I
that,
don't
but
wanna be a
welcome
part
to
of
the
this
club. Yeah, it's an unfortunate club that
It
we're
is.
in,
It
but
really
it is. You're not the only one, and we really appreciate you coming on, Canwell. One thing I wanted to say, now you all know I am a human rights conscientious person. I don't know your origin or your religion, but I don't think that in your people that women are given this kind of authority. Normally it's the boys. If they're boys in the family, they're normally doing what you do. Am I correct?
Yes and no. So my background, I was born and raised in New York City, so my parents have always been okay with, with us, they are religious, like my parents. I'm from Pakistan, and I'm Muslim, alhamdulillah. And my parents were never really. They're strict to a certain extent,
fundamentalists.
but they're not like, oh no, you can't do this because you're a girl, or you can't. No, they didn't do anything like that with us. They gave us equal rights. The thing is, in my family, I'm the crazy one. So my daughter, and they know that whatever she does or whatever she puts her heart into, she will get it done.
Yes,
So they know I know.
That's all that should matter.
And they know I know how to communicate. They know I know how to do my research. I mean, I was in nursing school
Her
twice.
nickname is Kim Kardashian.
She is beautiful. For those of you that are can't do it, we're live on Facebook. If you want to go to Patrick Henderson's page, you can look up on us and see what's going on in this room. This is a powerful room. Christina Flowers came in the door.
On the low, yeah.
On the low.
But that's another team that you didn't join too, the Crazies.
Yeah, we're all they consider us all crazy.
Conwell, can you tell us what happened just before we came in the building?
Yes, just before me and Miss Kim were sitting outside drinking our coffee, I had received a call from a state attorney, and she was asking about the surveillance from when these boys were jumping on the sergeant's car because they had arrested a few of them. And I told her, sure, I'll be more than happily, to send that over to her because they need my help. I need their help.
Right.
Okay. And I will help because there's nothing wrong that I'm doing. I'm just trying to get these kids to understand that it's not right for what they're doing. And going a little back, I was advised by one of the sergeants to get no trespassing orders made for these kids, and which I am,
You have to issue them to them?
No, he told me to have to get them. My attorney has to get them from the court.
And who gives them to the people that are standing in front of your place?
Question.
That's the question.
We're going to have to come up with our own process for this because I think there's value because I have the same kinds of issues going on the grounds of the rec center where the young people are selling, using their product, right? And I don't think that we need to just rely on one business to do it. So I've been reaching out, trying to find out, can the state's attorney help us issue these things, and will the sheriff deliver them for us? What is the actual process? Because if we've got to do it ourselves, then I need an army. I'm going to stand up the True Heart Militia.
Right. I'm gonna tell you something real quick, just so you know, off the topic. But I saw a video of that riot or that little outbreak that happened in City Hall. And I seen a brother put his hands on Kim Trueheart. When the camera went back to him, the brother was on the floor. So I don't think anybody want to walk up and put their hands on this system.
And another thing I want to mention, these, as I said earlier, these kids are fearless. Another incident that had happened was they had came to the station. They told my employee that he was given a $20 bill. My employee said no, he wasn't, because he leaves all the cash out there when he's counting. And they had came at that time. They confused him, so they actually told him to go check the camera. So while he went to check the cameras, they put their hands inside the slider and they took a bunch of Black and Milds. And before they tried to do that, the kid tried to remove try to move the camera, and he was unsuccessful in doing so because I have that crazy glue all up in that joint.
Bold, but they're fearless, but at the same time, they know that the police are not going to do anything, so they can get away with it.
And that's the problem. And that's a problem because I have done everything I can possibly do.
All right, Ken. Well, we've got the lines are boogieing up. I tell you, you all have questions and comments. We're going to get back because we're excited about everyone that's here. Diane Corbett got on our case last week because she said we don't have enough women on the show in our panels.
That was a packed house.
And now we got women everywhere. Yeah. Diane is an activist in the community, and we love her, and we're glad that she's here. And if we could just find a seat and a microphone for her, we would be doing fine. But we're going to hear from her before she goes. But I'm going to go to the lines. Please limit your comments or your questions to 90 seconds because the lines are backed up. Bubby, how are you?
Yes, sir. How y'all doing?
We're good.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Good to hear some women on the panel. You had my councilman there, Leon Pinkett from the 7th. I'm a Sandtown, Winchester resident. I've been trying to get in contact with him concerning some issues going on at Lillian Jones Recreation Center. The staff has alerted me that they're not giving access to the gym. And the kids in the neighborhood want to use the gym. They have been raised and groomed in Lillian Jones Gym. So I wonder, can he give me some advice on how to get the principal to stop padlocking the gym and letting the kids go into the gym?
Thanks for the call, Bobby. Even before coming into office, I worked with Principal Curtis and also the Rec and Parks. So we've already got that done. So now the rec center actually has access to the gym, and kids have been able to stay in the gym, a lot later than they used to. So it was about bringing the school system and Rec and Parks to sit down. I have to give credit to Miss Tracy Eastep and Rec and Parks. Because she really helped make it happen. But unfortunately, Gilmore isn't the only example of where Rec and Parks and the school system aren't working together. There are school buildings throughout our city where, those are the community's assets. They're not the Rec and Parks assets. They're not the school system's assets. They belong to the community, and so they should be available to the community. Absolutely. So we were able to. You can check with the rec center director, but we were able to get that done. But unfortunately, it took too long. But they're able to get in there and use that gym now. But there are other rec centers and gyms throughout the city where that's not the case, and we got to get those rec centers and gyms open.
I tell you what,
we have a new director of Rec and Parks, a new brother who's come to us from Georgia, right?
Georgia?
Georgia.
I think it's Reginald Moore.
Yeah, and I think that's something we need to talk to him about.
Well, I think so
proactive.
too.
And I've talked to him about that. He said it's a model that he's used in Georgia, and he plans on bringing it here. You know what? I want to tell you all a little story, real quick one, about the Liberty Tech and Rec. Kim, you know that they don't open the doors until a certain time. A coach has to be there for them to do it. But in between that time, when some of those kids get out of school, especially those little boys that are little hot to tots and ready to roll, then they need some place to go.
Patrick, as soon as you find me some money to hire somebody to work those in-between hours, we can do it.
You know what I started doing? I started bringing them upstairs to my music room just to get them off and something to do.
Options, yes. But we need
money. We need funds for it.
We got to do that.
But Patrick, can I say something else about the rec centers? Because oftentimes we talk about rec centers and we only talk about our youth. We're missing a tremendous opportunity for seniors to use those rec centers. Right now, part of the issues with our rec centers are they're only being used for a certain portion of the day.
Right.
We should be opening those centers up for our senior population from the morning until the afternoon. So that's the only way you can get. That's the only way you can get a vibrant rec center is when the whole community uses it, as opposed to just a certain population during certain hours.
I mean, and just to piggyback on that, a major part of us being a community was that. You know what I mean? When we was young, Tawanda Recreational Center, C.C. Jackson, they had bingo, they had pool, they had all these different community organizations that constantly met. So, they knew us. And I was just there to play football. So, and that's why I always say it takes y'all to come outside your houses. Because if you don't know these kids, you know what I mean? These kids don't know you, then there is no respect. There is no connection. But when Miss Johnson came out of our house and said, Wayne, what y'all doing over there? Take your behind down the street in front of your house. You know what I'm saying? I knew I could get it any part of my block from anybody. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to piggyback on that.
Yes, we're going to go to the next caller. Tyrone Tyrone, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Yes, this is going to take less than 90 seconds, I promise you.
Thank you.
First of all, we have a rally planned for August the 12th at 2 p.m. at the War Memorial Plaza. There's going to be comedians, there's going to be singers, professional, the Rebel Nation band's going to sing, reggae group, and Mary Pat Clarke's going to speak as well.
Who is we? What's your organization?
Oh, my organization is HOMES, Homeownership, Opportunity, and Mentorship for Economic Success.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring back the old Dollar House program, along with 1% interest renovation loans. And we've got some interest from the political lobby, and this will help solve a lot of our problems as far as taking over our neighborhoods. There's not a conspiracy about these neighborhoods being taken over. All you got to do is look at the John Hopkins Eminent Domain Project. They own almost all of East Baltimore, Black East Baltimore, rather. And the University of Maryland is doing the same thing.
On the west side, yes.
Yeah, the same thing. So we're trying to get a program to give these neighborhoods back to the people.
May I hold on for a moment, Tyrone? We've got City Councilman Pinkett here. What are the possibilities of this being revived, as this gentleman is proposing?
Well, I mean, historically, we know that the Dollar House program has worked. I think the challenge is we got to make sure it works for us. There've been neighborhoods where, let's say Otterbein, and I can't call some of the other neighborhoods where Ridgely, there you go, where the Dollar House program worked very effectively. I think the key element of what this gentleman is talking about is the renovation loans to go along with it.
Is that a 203K?
I'm not certain. I'm not certain which package he's talking about. Yes, go ahead, sir.
In the old program, the loans came directly from the state. They came off of TIPS, tax increment financing bonds. So what we want to do is we want to divert the $700 million that the governor received, that the governor gave to Baltimore City to tear down houses. And Baltimore City has a lack of affordable housing stock. For every 100 families that are looking for affordable housing, there are only 43 units. So we're tearing down houses, and we actually need the housing. So we're hustling backwards. So we're trying to reverse that trend and stop the displacement of black folks from the city of Baltimore at the same time. Also, we want to incorporate training in the trades for the community, so we can feed these things like Port Covington, who say they can't get enough trained people from the community. And instead of refusing not to hire us when they promise us jobs, government subsidies. Now they can't say that. If we get the program, we can also train young people in the trades, because it takes trades to build these houses back.
But you know what? It's interesting you would bring that up. I just read in the paper that they're laying people off at Under Armour. That they're cutting staff and stuff because the owner went. What's the name? Plank.
Kevin Plank.
Plank went on national news and endorsed Trump. And the people stop buying their products. So he's
Regardless of that, he's getting $600 million of our money.
Okay, I agree with you on that one.
But can I make one statement related to what this gentleman is saying? Whether it be his program or any other, I think that what he's talking about is what can keep our communities from being gentrified, and a big part of that is the city-owned properties in those communities. Those are assets that we have control over. There are going to be certain aspects as markets change that we don't have access on, but we do have control of the city-owned properties, and those are properties that should be where you can maintain the affordability because we have the ownership of it. And so my call to communities throughout the city, if you're going to be advocates, if you're going to be CDCs, is find out where the city-owned properties are in your community and make certain that whatever decisions are being made about those properties, that the community has a say in them. If you don't, you lose power and you lose the authority in your communities.
Well, we have, Mr. Pinkett, we have a rally/petition drive. We try to get 10,000 signatures to go along with this program, and we want the people, the power of the people, to trump whatever they're trying to do with this money as far as gentrify these communities. And that's our goal.
Have you? Is it online? Is there an online petition to sign, sir?
We have paper petitions that I've already pulled some of my personal ones because people are interested. Then I explain the program to them. So as an alternative to destroying the affordable housing stock and gentrifying the cities, they're trying to bleach the city.
We understand that, sir. Is there an online way to sign a petition? Is the question.
If you go to our site, Baltimore, the number 4homes.com.
Say it again. Slow it down.
Baltimore4homes.com, the number 4. Okay? And it explains when our rally is going to be. The petition drive is going to be at the War Memorial Plaza. If nothing else, your family will have a good time.
What is the date?
It's August 12th at 2 p.m.
August the 12th. That's this week.
It's AFRAM, yeah. AFRAM, you still have time to go to AFRAM, but the only thing AFRAM is going to do for you is entertain you. We're talking about changing the socioeconomic conditions of our people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
sir.
you, bro.
Yes, Leo.
Just very quickly, I wanted to say that Tyrone's organization are members of the Roots of Scouting Coalition.
Okay.
And
My
so
man.
I'm going to pass you the flyer, and at least you can follow up with Tyrone and others regarding this event.
I tell you, if I had to hire somebody to promote something, I'd hire Leo. Leo, hold up, Leo. I got to go. 410-481-1010. 410-481-1010. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore. Sekou, welcome, sir. You have a question or comment?
I have a comment in reference to the owner of the BP station. You know, I've been living in Forest Park since 1961. I graduated from Liberty Elementary School, class of 61. I know the neighborhood. I know the people. I know those children. I know their parents, grandparents, in some cases, their great-grandparents. You have to develop a relationship with them youngsters because it's the same ones every day. And it's not a whole lot of them. Maybe 7 or 8, 10 at the most. And it's the same ones every day. Now, what I'm hearing is they're going to padlock that business and deprive the residents in this area access to a gas station. They will end up having to go all the way down to Liberty Heights and Bueno, which has a similar problem right across the street at that liquor store,
Yes, sir.
or go all the way up to the school, BCCC, to a gas station. The police need to do their job and get that handful of youngsters who's out there all the time. They have to know them. They see them every day. Some of them be out there while the police is out
Yes,
there.
sir. Yes, sir.
They need to start holding them accountable.
Yes.
And Brother Wayne, we have to accept the fact that we're not going to win them all over.
Right. You're right,
Some
brother.
of them have to be held accountable for what they do. If they're breaking the law, enforce the law. Because in theory, the primary function of the law is to protect the innocent,
Yes.
like that gas station owner, punish the guilty, and see that justice is done.
Absolutely.
Make the police do their job.
Absolutely, big brother.
Y'all have a nice day.
You
Thank
too.
you, Sekou. Wise
Amen.
words,
Facts.
man. Very
Facts.
good.
Thank you.
We got Smitty next. Smitty, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. You have a question or comment, sir?
Yeah, Patrick. One of the things I want to say, sure, the police job is to serve and protect, but also we got to understand that that's a business. And in a business, I heard the young lady say that they needed police protection, but we can't pull a police off to protect a business because when that business is located in that community, that business can sustain anything that comes to it as far as harm, what they need as far as people that they would put on that they would hire for to make sure the security and welfare and safety of that business can function and it can be a tax write-off. I want to know how come that business haven't contributed to the community and supporting the community in which they taking the money out of the community and taking it to their survival, but not helping the community that's in depressed that needs some of those proceeds in which they're making. High as gas is, they're making abundance of money. And anything that they put in that business for $30 out is a tax write-off. And all they have to do is haul what they need, do a tax write-off. High as the gas is high in that community than it is any other community that I've been in, and why they can't be sustained in supporting that community with community things that need to be done in that community by putting some money back in. When I was on the liquor board, I made people that were licensees, liquor people, invest into the community in which they have their businesses. And that business is no better.
Conwell, would you like to respond?
Yes, I was advised by the PTO member of the rec center, and she had told me that same thing that you are saying. Maybe,
Janice Hyman, yes.
Yes, maybe to hire somebody from the community for the station as security and as well as somebody that can work at the register. And I said, yes, I'm going to take that in full consideration. And I am working with Miss Kim, and I told her, and I actually promised her that I'm going to do everything I can for this community, for the rec center. Not to brag about it or anything, and it's nothing big. I've told my father and my uncle, every time you go to get inventory, please get water, chips, cookies, whatever you can for the kids every time you go.
Okay.
And they go 3 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
So as I am also trying to financially build myself, I am not blind. I know what's going on, and why wouldn't I be a part of it? Why wouldn't I want to be a part of anything that's going on? We want that neighborhood and that community to be the best of the best.
Tell me this. This is interesting that you would say this. Is there a coalition of station owners that are, Islamic or Christian or whatever, or just business people where you all talk to each other? And you like what is it, K-Grow? I think it's for the Korean. Is there an organization that sort of you guys belong to where you can have input and talk about your community? Doesn't exist?
No.
No? Okay. All right, Diane, I'm gonna get a couple more calls, and I'm gonna get to you. We got Bill here. Bill, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
I got a comment, and the first thing is this. I'm gonna tell you, the dog is chasing his tail. Now we're going around talking all this talk. We talk. Everybody's talking. We should do this. We should do that. We ought to organize this and serve that and have a march on this. The thing of it is, the problem is, we got these guys riding around with these tinted windows and these cars, and they're in drugs. They got their turfs all lined up, what they want to do. They got these little kids out here selling drugs for them, right along with some of these cops to help pay for their homes in the county. We know all about this, and yet we send them down to the court system. They just you can go. You're gonna give you 20 years, but you're only gonna do for 6 months. We have you back out there shooting somebody else. Look, I'm gonna tell you something. If I was running this show, I'd clean this shit up in 6 months. Excuse my French. But I'm telling you right now, all these kids are running around with these drugs, and they're shooting, all this shooting going on with 27 or 4 hours. Listen, I have them off the strap. Look, I put them in a uniform. I put them in a uniform, 6 months basic training, and send them over to Afghanistan so they can go out there and do all the shooting they want at ISIS. Now, I'm going to tell you where they can do the most good instead of hanging around here causing havoc.
Yes, sir.
Threatening your family.
Yes, sir.
Riding through the street looking for somebody to shoot.
Yes, sir.
We waste. The dog is chasing his tail. It's time to come down. Your legal system is so messed up. These lawyers want to keep them back there on the streets. They keep coming back here getting money out of them. It's all one big racket.
Yes.
You want to clear this mess up. You go and put them in uniform. They come down to court, but shooting somebody, put them in a uniform, send them over there.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%.
I can say, if I was running this show, I have it cleaned up in 6 months. I'm serious.
So confident.
Yeah, you're so confident. But I tell you what, how long have we been espousing that every young person should give at least a year of service?
And this is our 7th year, family.
Yeah.
This is our 7th year.
Exactly. So we've been talking about this, and sir, I agree with you. I agree with you. It'll teach discipline. It also teaches some things that these children
and I also
don't
spoke
get.
to Miss Kim about that. I said, instead of, why does everybody have to get locked up? I said, put these kids in a facility. Well, they can learn and they can know that there's, like I said, these kids are probably much smarter than all of us combined.
Yes.
They're probably much smarter than all of us combined. So why are you ruining your life?
Because they have not seen it done. My mom says it's hard to repeat what you haven't seen. And y'all must take into consideration, a lot of these kids are selling these drugs to support their families.
Right.
You might not want to admit that. Right. But a lot of these kids are out there, their parents own, or their mother, most times a single family household, and these children are selling these drugs and taking that money and going and buying food. I see it all the time in the children that we at Liberty Rec, the children and stuff. I said, y'all so hungry. I knew they'd eaten 2 or 3 times a day, but I noticed a few of them always say, well, can I take a sandwich home to my mom? Can I take this home? Can I have this, Mr. Patrick? And so, I started buying more. So they could take a little extra food home for their families, because I realized hunger in this city, I tell you, it is just at epic proportions. And they're with Trump in there, they're talking about cutting food stamps, and Medicare cut $800 billion, you all. It's time for us. We're going to have to come and do for ourselves. There are plenty of resources. Leo,
one aspect of what the caller said is very true. He's not going to get it done in 6 months, but nevertheless, the level of corruption in Baltimore City and many urban centers is very serious. And we've got to focus on that, because there's an interweave between organized crime, the police department, and organized crime and other forces. So if there was an easy answer, we would have it, but there's no easy answer other than what we're doing now, and that is the kind of initiatives we got from Ceasefire and other organizations that are trying legitimately to coalesce and unify the community, and we must be resilient and rebound and not give up. That's the important thing. We got to be consistent about our efforts at cleaning up the community, and it's across the board. So that's all I'm going to say. There's no instant solution to this problem.
But I like his idea, and I agree that at least 1 year should be given to service to the company, to the city. Hi, Diane. Hold on, Randy. I'm going to take your call. Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Right. You have a question or comment?
Yeah, comment. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
First of all, and then second of all, I don't know what people is really looking for. Look, I've been a citizen of Baltimore all my life, and I'm 45 years old. And what I watched was a timeline of police officers. Now, you had some that was overzealous, of course, but I watched where people putting all police officers in the same boat when that's not true, because you got some good, you got a lot of good, you got some bad. But I watched so much police bashing from politicians, from radio personalities, from everybody else, right? And now that police done slacked off, because when they was locking people up, now some of it was unnecessary, but then some of it was necessary, and people, ACLU and everybody else, complain about harassment, this and that. The state's attorney's office talk about their nuisance lockup. Now that the police officers are not harassing people on these corners, or if a crime not being committed in front of them, you can't lock a person up. And now people are still complaining. I'm saying to myself, what way do you all want it? I don't understand.
Hold up, Wayne. Hold up. Let me say this to you, sir. The Department of Justice just did a scathing report about the Baltimore Police Department. And I wanted to bring that up earlier. There's a lack of distrust. Those kids jumping on the police car and that sort of thing. There's this just strong distaste for them. But for you to say that it's all right for them to harass people is just beyond the pale, sir.
I didn't say that.
What did you say?
I never said it was all right to harass people. You didn't hear me say it? I said it was all right. What I'm saying is, I said some lockups was necessary, some of it wasn't. I said that.
You also said but you also said that not all cops are bad, and I agree with you. But why don't the good ones? Hold up, listen to me. I listen to you. Why don't the good ones stand up and talk and expose the bad ones? Yep. That's what this. I agree with you. There are probably some good ones in there, but if they're protest like somebody working in a bank and know your buddy getting ready to rob the bank, and you say, come on, man,
Okay, it's just like in the neighborhood, we got people that's knowing people who committing crime, but they ain't saying nothing either.
That's not true.
Yeah, well, that's not true.
But hold on. The thing is, though, the big difference is we are not being paid to protect these folks. And a lot of these folks, and listen to me, brother. Listen to me, because I want your comment. The thing is, bro, is that these folks are risking their lives communicating with the police. And then on top of that, when we ask them to do what they're supposed to do in the communities that they're sitting in, then we are asking too much. Because it seems like they are offended when, we ask them to do their job without beating the crap out of us. You know how many times I got beat up by the police before they ran my name? And they say, oh, we sorry, we thought you were somebody else. Like, you know what I'm saying? That should not be, business as usual. You know what I mean? This is what's hurting us, bro. It's the attitude of how you're looked at and how you look at us. And the only way that we're going to change that, the only way that we're going to change that is if we have a down-to-earth conversation. Now, you can't just look at every person out here that's standing on the corner like they're a criminal. Half these guys are trying to catch the bus to get to work. Half of these brothers are trying to catch the bus to get to school. Some of these folks are trying to pick their kids up. And when you're just sitting out here, you just on the corner, you're looked at as a criminal by the police. We're not asking the police to do something that we're not paying them to do. They do the same thing in any other neighborhood. But when it comes to our neighborhood, you know what I mean? Everybody's looked at as a criminal. You know what I mean? That's what has to change. And I'm not judging the police department because of the one or two good guys. I'm judging the police department according to all of the bad guys. The officers that are there that have tried to step up and say something, the other officers attacked them. When these 7 officers got locked up, it was an officer that said, man, they are making it hard for the rest of us. And that police department attacked him. You see what I'm saying? So how is it now our fault for wanting the protection that we are paying for, brother?
Absolutely.
It's called institutional racism.
Yeah, I believe so. Diane Corbett, welcome. You have a
Thank
comment?
Yeah, I just want to tell that brother, other people in other communities, they don't have to have talk to the police the way we talk to them, because the police does their job, like Wayno says, and we shouldn't have to, because we pay our taxes every single day, property taxes, whatever, I'm an activist in my community, and what I see, yes, I do tell, brother. So it's not everybody that don't tell. We do tell.
Call them.
It's very discreet, but when it takes 2 hours for a police to come and then they are gone, you get tired sometime, and you won't call them, and you still do the same thing. You still talk to the young men, and that's what that ceasefire is about. And I want to say this: if you think that because 2 murders happened over the weekend, it wasn't success. It was a success.
Yes,
we didn't get in this problem like this overnight.
That's right.
It took decades, and I'm gonna go all the way back to Mayor Schaefer when we had over 300 and we didn't report it. If we had done something about it then, we wouldn't still have these murders that we are having on our hands in 2017, 21st century. Nobody wants to claim and back it up. But we sometimes as adults drop the ball.
Yes.
Even the guy that was just on the phone, you dropped the ball. Are you walking in your community? Are you talking to the young people in your family, your niece, your nephews, that their mom might be on drugs and might be your sister-in-law, whatever? We forgot to talk to the children.
Yes, Mr.
And I work in the school system in Baltimore County. They meet me at my locker, and they say, Miss Diane, I got something to tell you. And I can hear it from A to Z. Yes. And if I think it's necessary, harmful, I go talk to the principal or the teacher to let them know that it might be harmful to them. But you got to win their trust. And we didn't get overnight, so we have to put on our big boy pants. And our sisters, we have to put on our pants too, and get out there and do something about what's happening. We got, and I always say this. You always hear me talk about economics. We got to have the economics. If we got a dollar here, a dollar there, 50 cents, whatever people can afford, we're gonna do this. That dollar house was a very successful back in the 70s, and I can tell you every area that had dollar houses, and they looked like our community at first. Our community did not look like theirs, but it was down by the harbor, Farrell's Point, Canton, Federal Hill, Sterling Street, which is behind Old Town Mall. A lot of people don't know about Sterling Street because that's hitting, but their communities look just like what looks now. And somebody was talking about the property that the city owned. We can get a list of that from Housing Authority. I worked for Housing Authority for 17 years, and we knew where the property that was at that the city owned. Because I was just naive, just like everybody else. I thought all the property that was vacant was owned by the city, but it's not owned by the city. It's owned by a private landlord. That's why I went back to Schaefer, because at the time, that was when all the children was being found out with lead poison. And those owners did not look like us. So instead of them cleaning it out, they left them vacant, and nobody went after them for property tax.
That's right. No enforcement of the law.
No enforcement of the law.
And can I just piggyback on what you said real quick? Because you said something very important, and is that the Baltimore ceasefire was a success. You had the people of these communities without the police, you know what I mean, to be able to bring the murder rate down for at least just one weekend.
And even Commissioner Kevin Davis said this morning it was a success. It takes more than one day.
Of course.
They go back and tweet it and find out what needs to go. People have to come out their communities. It just can't be just South Baltimore, whatever. You have to come out your own community and do what you need to do in your community. It will work. It worked Saturday. It worked Friday. I told him. I told Wayno I saw him Saturday. I seen him. I was coming back from my grandson's house because we had date night out. Me and my little 11-year-old. We have a date night out every other Friday. You know, we go somewhere. So we was out Fridays. I had to drop him off, and I caught the brown bus. Came down Bel Air Road, and I had to look over, and there was ceasefire. I mean, this was 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but you know what? Check this out. I went to my church yesterday down in Pigtown, and that was where the first murder took place during the ceasefire. And I asked them, I said, why do y'all think that happened? They say, people forget about us, Brother Henderson.
And
they don't ever talk about Pigtown and that section of the city. She said you don't see no signs down here about the ceasefire, but that's getting ready to change.
And that's the same thing.
That's getting ready to change.
That's the same thing with public housing, But I understand. I have to carry the message. If I live in public house, I got to carry that message.
You got to be the village.
I got to be that one to carry that message back.
Thomas, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. You have a question or comment, sir? How are you?
Patrick, how you guys doing today?
We're well, thank you.
Amen.
City Councilman Leon Pinkett, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, thank you.
This is Thomas Briggs, yo, mate. Listen, let me just get right straight to the point, Patrick. Ceasefire was a success. You only had 2 murders this weekend.
Well, did both people die? I think the other one didn't die. Only one died.
No, the other one died. It was pronounced dead yesterday.
Sunday.
Okay.
Both died. But let me tell you the significance of that, okay? 210 murders in the city of Baltimore. Under Kevin Davis's, this current police commissioner's tenure, that's over 1,000 murders under his tenure. Okay? Why does Kevin Davis still have his job if murders are still being committed? We got rid of Commissioner Batts, Commissioner Ham, Commissioner Clarke, okay? When murders were high. Under his tenure, he's had more murders than any one of those guys combined together. Why does he still have his job, Patrick? It's politics as usual. They still play politics with us. And if you really want to help the people, when people talk about economics and stuff, right? I wish somebody, Leon, I don't know if you be the one to do this, even though you just came in or not, man. Let's have a mandatory audit to see what funds that we have. Well, along with that mandatory audit, right, guys, let's make sure that City Council and its mayor put the money into the infrastructure of the city. Baltimore City gets billions of dollars from the federal government to put into its infrastructure. But we use the infrastructure money to do what? Make a developer like Kevin Plank richer. Make a developer like Harbor East richer. The money is not going back into the infrastructure, guys.
Yeah, that's that general fund.
The general fund. If you don't put the money back into the infrastructure, we're going to continue to run this chase the dog chases its tail in circles.
Thank you, Thomas.
I want to say one thing to the business owner that's there. I appreciate you coming to the radio telling us about your problem. When your problem gets solved, come back and help us solve our problem.
She's going to help us while she's getting hers solved.
Sure.
Thank you, Thomas.
Patrick, can I just say something? Thomas hit on several points, but he hit on a point that I think is critical to the city and one that I've been championing is that, the Department of Public Works probably has the largest budget of any, especially capital budget, of any agency in the city. And so we see, water infrastructure projects going on. We see them cutting up the street and doing stuff all the time. But the issue is, how many jobs do we see being created as a result of this public money? And until, we talk about what private developers are doing and what they're not doing. But what are we doing with public dollars? That's my issue. These are dollars that we have control over. Ms. Trueheart will attest that we've got 2 projects happening in West Baltimore, one at Druid Lake and then one at Lake Ashburton, to a consent decree to put the drinking water in tanks, probably cumulatively about $300 million worth of development. We've got to start looking at these projects that we know are coming for years. That should be providing jobs for our community, and we've got to stop allowing entities and individuals to say that I can't find qualified persons or I can't find trained persons. No, you knew that this project was coming 10 years ago. So what are you telling us that you could not in 10 years train a person? The unemployment rate in Sandtown or lack of people not in the labor force is probably close to 50%. With these water projects, we could employ all of Sandtown.
Absolutely.
And as a community, these are the things we've got to start paying attention to.
And Big Brother, just to piggyback on what you're saying, I completely wholeheartedly agree. We've been talking about this for the past few years, but what we are seeing is that the same organizations of folks who are buddied with this person, who hang out with this person, these folks go to the same church, these folks go to the same club, they are the ones that always get the money. They are the ones who are always on front line, and they are the same ones that are failing us. These same failing programs, these same failing organizations, these same failing activists, these same failing pastors are always the one at the table. Not Roots of Scouting, not out for justice. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. How can we come together and get the folks who are actually doing the work, who actually have accomplished some things out here, like Sister Kim Trueheart? You know what I mean? Right. How can we get those guys to the table? Because that's what the biggest issue is, really.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think Patrick said it earlier. Information, is power, but if you don't use it, power, there's no power in it. And so I'm new to the council. I'm not new to local government. Seen a lot I like, seen a lot I don't like. But I'm accountable now. I am in offices. I am available. I have information that I'm available to, and if I'm in the way, and if I don't get that information to the community that needs that information, then I need to be out of office. Yes. And it should be me as well as, and as a community, when I look at our city. In a nation where black urban centers are declining and dying, we have black mayor, black council president, controller, majority of the council, state legislators, congressmen. At some point, we're gonna have to stop making excuses.
Yes,
this is our city. I mean,
flat out, bro.
And if the resources don't reflect our interests, then it's on us. And I keep saying it, and I hope it's not the case. Either this city's going to change, or we're going to have to give our young people an apology.
Yeah, and give them tickets away from here.
Give them a ticket out of town. We don't love them here.
I don't plan on giving any of the kids in the 7th District a ticket out of town. I plan on making the 7th District a place where they want to live.
Amen. May I say this? I got to ask you, Leon, you set me up, and I appreciate you, my friend. I was the only person in my neighborhood that put your sign in my yard.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Why did you vote against the minimum wage?
Why did I vote against the minimum wage
hike? Yes.
So let me say this first and foremost. I think that the wages people are getting paid is too low. I do believe that for our jurisdiction, that the minimum wage is a statewide issue. And so let me explain, why I feel as though that should be the case, especially for Baltimore.
It should be the state that does it?
It should be the state.
Okay.
Because if the state does not increase the minimum wage, then what you're doing is you're creating a situation where Baltimore is arbitrarily higher than the surrounding jurisdiction, and you're talking about a city where we have the highest crime rate. We've been talking about that all morning. Highest water bills, highest
BG&E.
You name it. We highest property tax, high real property tax, high personal property tax, and to not acknowledge the challenges that we face and we currently face as it relates to getting businesses, because some of the public safety things we were talking about are economic development issues as well, because it's about job creation, it's about bringing employers to our area that can provide jobs for people, and so. To not acknowledge the fact that we are putting our city at a competitive disadvantage to the surrounding counties, where businesses can make decisions to move, businesses can, we have to acknowledge that, just because we raise the minimum wage does not mean that a business owner is not going to adjust his business according to that. They're going to let people go,
until their business grows, because more people got money to spend and can start supporting their businesses. See, I'm looking at the example of Seattle. Now, you didn't mention that, and I think that's a flaw in your thinking. And I understand the statewide doing it.
I'll explain. One, and you may disagree, but Baltimore is not Seattle. And we have a completely different economic and fiscal status than Seattle. And you might want to check Seattle, because now Seattle, they didn't have the business growth that they thought was going to happen. They have restaurants closing and downsizing as a result of the minimum wage. So
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I'm
and if you like, I can send you the report.
I would appreciate that. All right,
but let me. Hurry up. Okay, and we didn't take into fact that it would cost $130 million to the city in order to raise the minimum wage, which a city that was facing a consent decree, was facing, a deficit in the school system.
Why do we have to pay for the consent decree? Why do the people have to pay for the flaws and the misdeeds of the police department?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to keep going here, but that to me is first another ripoff of the people.
Yes.
Why should we have to pay for that? Why should we have to pay for them beating us to half to death and taking our lives?
So that's why I voted against the minimum wage.
All right, I thank you, Leo. Leon, I'm sorry, that just tipped
Fire Kevin Davis.
Remember not to remember.
I want to mention that Canwell, y'all think that those service stations are making a lot of money, but they're not making a lot of money. She pays her property tax. You paid your property tax with a credit card.
I paid my property tax with
because you weren't making enough money. You do not make money off the gas that you sell. Is that correct?
No, sometimes I sell gas on a loss.
At a loss. All right, you all. I'm so sorry we don't have more time, but I want to thank everybody.
Yes.
Diane Corbett, thank you so much, and I would love to have you anytime you're available to come. Canwell, thank you so much for coming. Leon Pinkett, you encouraged me today. I was getting ready to write you off. But you kind of...
If you would have me back, I like this crazy crew.
Thank you, brother.
Kim Trueheart, Christina Flowers, Jason, you've been listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 in Wayno.
Love your family.
And we'll see you all next Sunday at 3:30 on Spirit 1400. You think this is something, you should hear the Sunday show.
Yes, sir.
God bless y'all. Have a great week. Have a great week.
WOLB Baltimore, a Radio 1 station where information is power.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know that the IRS is already coming for their money, and they'll get it too by garnishing your wages or maybe even taking your home or business. They call it enforced compliance, and you'd better watch out because the penalties and interest compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Solving tax issues is all they do. One call to Optima starts the process to stop the demand letters and stop aggressive collection actions. They get to work immediately, fighting to protect your assets and helping you put your tax problems behind you. The IRS writes off